Welcome to IE News and to our viewers on itvtt.com. I am Micah Dume. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, government expanding safe spaces for youth through sport and community initiatives. NCRHA says cost-cutting measures implemented to address inherited financial and operational issues. 26-year-old Shovan Aslop gunned down in Morveh amid suspected gang retaliation violence. In our top story, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says government is creating more safe spaces for young people through sport and community development initiatives. Here's more.
Speaking at the East-West Corridor Football League finals at the Hazley Crawford Stadium on Sunday, the Prime Minister said grassroots sports play a major role in youth development, discipline and national pride. She noted that sport and youth affairs were merged into one ministry as part of government's national transformation agenda and said support continues for emerging talent across Trinidad and Tobago. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar also encouraged young athletes to remain committed, saying every training session and sacrifice helps to build character and shape their future. Meanwhile, Simeon Road FC captured the inaugural East-West Corridor Football League title with a 3-0 win over Wolfpack Icons.
That is why we brought sport and youth affairs together under one ministry. Sport remains one of the most powerful tools for building discipline, confidence, teamwork, national pride and opportunity. My government has already begun supporting sport and youth initiatives through grants, youth programs, community sporting activities, and support for emerging talent across TNT.
The North Central Regional Health Authority says it has implemented several cost-cutting measures over the past 9 months to address what it described as major financial and operational problems inherited from the previous administration. Here's more.
In a statement issued on Saturday, the NCRHA said the authority faced severe financial constraints, broken medical equipment, maintenance issues, and hundreds of millions of dollars in outstanding payments to suppliers, resulting in shortages of critical supplies and delays in repairs. The authority outlined several issues identified during its review, including more than $124 million paid to a janitorial company over 2 years without tender or contract, approximately $250 million paid to security companies over a decade without tender arrangements, and more than $350 million owed to over 300 companies. The NCRHA also highlighted long-standing operational challenges affecting patient care, including surgical backlogs, long waiting times for CT scans and MRI appointments, overcrowding in accident and emergency departments, and non-functional medical equipment and infrastructure. According to the authority, corrective measures and tighter financial management have now created room to expand healthcare services and reduce delays. Planned initiatives include Saturday operating theatre sessions, extended weekly operating hours, overtime services for CT and MRI scans, additional nursing support, increased surgical operations, and the implementation of a $75 incentive allowance for registered nurses working extra duty. The NCRHA also reported improvements in patient flow and service delivery, stating that mortality figures declined from 275 deaths in January 2026 to 206 deaths in April 2026, while surgical operations increased and waiting times for ward admissions from accident and emergency departments were reduced. However, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Nursing Association, Edie Stewart, criticized the authority's claims, describing the release as contradictory and questioning the true number of nurses hired in recent months. Stewart argued that staffing shortages remain severe across NCRHA facilities and claimed the recruitment of approximately 50 nurses fall far short of the more than 400 additional nursing personnel he says are needed. He also questioned the NCRHA's decision to reinstate the $75 incentive allowance for nurses after previously reducing the rate, arguing that the move confirms ongoing staffing shortages within the public health care system. The dispute comes on continuing concerns raised by nursing staff over working hours, overtime arrangements, and patient-to-nurse ratios across the regional health authorities.
A 26-year-old man was gunned down in Morveh late Sunday night, marking the second murder in the district in just over 24 hours as police investigate possible gang-related retaliation killings. That is Shovan Aslop, also known as Striker. According to reports, shortly after 11 p.m., Aslop was at the corner of 2nd Caledonia Road and the Eastern Main Road opposite the NP Quick Shop when gunmen opened fire, unleashing more than 30 shots during the deadly ambush. Residents reported hearing a barrage of gunfire as the attackers fled the scene. Aslop collapsed and died before emergency responders arrived. The killings come just one day after 33-year-old Jamal Carter was shot dead at Industrial Lane, Morva. Investigators said Carter was liming near a wooden structure off Lady Young Road on Saturday morning when 3 armed men approached and opened fire at close range. Crime scene investigators recovered 26 spent 9mm shell casings and 1 live round. From that scene, police are now probing whether both murders are linked to ongoing gang violence and retaliation within the Morva district. We pause for a moment. More news when we come back.
Perfection doesn't happen by chance. Like an artist, the cook selects the main ingredient, one that is worthy of a proud cultural tradition. Trusted to enhance your creations with its richness and versatility. To create a cooking masterpiece, the secret is simple. The brand we know, the brand we trust, the brand our ancestors have been using for generations.
There is only one pure cow brand ghee. Look for the marks of authenticity.
Tile Expressions Limited, as one of the largest importers of tiles, offers an extensive range of high-quality tiles in ceramic, porcelain, granite, stone, and mosaic options. Additionally, we offer a variety of tile accessories and bathroom sets to complement any decor style. We are committed to providing exceptional customer service and swift delivery of all products. From indoor and outdoor tiles to bathroom sets and tile accessories, we have curated a range that caters to both traditional and modern taste. Lampus 13, Ajudha Road, Munro Road, Canopio. Call 223-8453.
Welcome back. The Administration of Justice DNA Amendment Bill 2026 has been passed in the House of Representatives following debate over national security, biometric data collection, and existing powers under the law.
Defense Minister Wayne Sturge defended the legislation, insisting the bill is narrowly focused and designed to close specific gaps in the current legal framework. Leading debate in the lower house, Minister Sturge rejected claims that the legislation would expand state powers beyond what already exists under current law. He urged that existing legislation already allows for the collection of DNA samples without consent in certain circumstances, and said the amendment simply broadens the categories of persons who may be covered. The minister also addressed concerns surrounding border security and registration systems, pointing to what he described as weaknesses in previous processes. Following debate, the bill was considered clause by clause in committee, passed with amendments, and now forms part of the government's broader national security and justice reform agenda.
It must be obvious by now that the clauses in the bill are very limited. They target a very specific lacuna, and we do not seek to amend the existing DNA legislation to the point as was suggested by the member for Port of Spain South, because it was clear from his submissions that he never read the act. Whilst his party was in power, they amended the act to do all these things in 2018. So why is he seeking to cast aspersions on little old me? Knowing fully well that I simply piloted this bill because the Minister of Justice is in the other place piloting a bill. But in his desire to castigate me for God knows what, he basically did what he was complaining about.
Police have arrested a third suspect in connection with the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza in Tobago as investigations intensify 1 week after the child was reported missing. The suspect was held on Monday evening in Goodwood during a police operation, while another person of interest reportedly escaped as officers closed in. Police say the investigation has now reached a sensitive stage. Angelo's 22-year-old mother, Khalifa Tobias, and her 25-year-old boyfriend, Shannon Miller, remain in police custody after they were detained on Friday. Authorities confirmed both are being questioned at separate police stations. Meanwhile, search efforts expanded on Monday after intelligence reported led investigators to the Studley Park landfill in Tobago. Officers from the TTPS, Tobago Emergency Management Agency, and Hunters Search and Rescue Team searched the dump site for several hours, but up to late Monday, the child's body had not been found. Investigations remain ongoing. The National Council of Indian Culture has honored one of its longest-serving stalwarts by officially renaming the Heritage Center at Diwali Nagar as the Deokinanand Sharma Virasat Kendra. The renaming pays tribute to Dr. Sharma's more than 2 decades of service and his contribution to the advancement of Hindu and cultural development in Trinidad and Tobago.
It is our way of saying that the work of those who built this institution must never fade into the silence, and that the sacrifices of our pioneers must continue to guide the generations yet to come.
The past president of the National Council of Indian Culture, who served for more than 2 decades, is being recognized at a moment described as deeply significant, symbolically linking the organization's past with its future. According to the NCIC president, his leadership was not defined simply by the length of its tenure, but by the lasting impact he made on cultural community development. The president added that the newly named center should serve as more than just a physical structure, but as a living space for heritage education and cultural preservation.
He understood that culture was not entertainment alone. He understood that culture was identity, culture was memory, culture was resistance, culture was education, culture was faith, culture was the bridge between our ancestors and our children.
An 18-year-old teenager from Diego Martin has been found dead at his home in an incident police are treating as a suspected suicide. The victim, Daniel Walker of Mahogany Road, according to police reports, officers attached to the West End police station responded to a report shortly before 11 p.m. on Saturday and went to the family's home, where the teenager was discovered unresponsive inside a room. Police say Daniel's father told investigators that his son had been struggling with depression. The district medical officer later visited the scene and officially pronounced the teenager dead. His body was ordered removed to the Port of Spain mortuary pending a post-mortem examination while crime scene investigators processed the scene. You're watching IE News. We'll return after these messages.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high-quality bromate-free, all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisho Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisho Limited, quality you can trust.
Are you renewing your motor, homeowner or business insurances shortly? Then call Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, for a competitive quote. With 2 locations, Todd Street, El Socorro and 5 Rivers, Aruca. Please call us at 221-5051 or 227-5051. Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, building relationships exceeding expectations.
Welcome back. Residents near Ranji Nanan Drive in Taruba remain concerned after reports of a strong oil scent and visible traces of oil triggered an emergency response from Heritage Petroleum Company Limited. In an update issued on Sunday, Heritage said crews acted quickly to remove contaminated soil from the affected area while investigations and monitoring operations continue around the clock. The company also confirmed that air quality testing is being conducted by Caribbean Industrial Research Institute to ensure the environment remains safe for nearby residents. According to Heritage, officials have remained in contact with affected residents, providing updates and addressing concerns. Medical assistance has also been made available to anyone experiencing health-related issues linked to the incident. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, the Environmental Management Authority, and other regulatory agencies have all been notified and remain involved in the response efforts. Heritage says remediation work and environmental monitoring will continue as investigations into the source of oil sighting remain ongoing. Let's now take a look at some international news.
When we fight, we win!
Chaos and confusion spreading tonight after a massive rail strike on the busiest commuter rail in the country leaves more than 250,000 riders without a way into New York City to start the work week. Frustrated passengers arriving to empty terminals.
We have to do something for get to our house.
The walkout starting just after midnight Saturday after months of negotiations between the MTA and unions representing some 3,500 rail workers collapsed. In a statement, the MTA saying our last offer literally gave them everything they said they wanted in terms of pay, but they rejected even that. And the unions representing the LIRR saying this strike would not have happened if the MTA and LIRR offered our members the reasonable terms the government recommended multiple times.
What do we want?
Negotiations stalling over a pay increase between 4.5% and 5%, along with health care costs.
The railroad is the lifeblood of Long Island. Without it, life as we know it is simply not possible.
Today, Governor Hochul urging both sides to get back to the table. But the unions claim they haven't heard from the MTA on when those talks could resume.
How am I going to get back to the Bronx from Long Island?
The expansive commuter rail system operates 24/7 and also serves 126 stations across more than 300 route miles on 700 miles of track. The state's comptroller estimating the strike could cost the region up to $61 million per day in lost revenue.
Tonight, a shocking mid-air collision during an air show at Mountain Home Air Force Base outside of Boise, Idaho. Watch as the pair of naval jets, two Navy EA-18G Growlers, appear to collide just 2 miles northwest of the base. A harrowing scene of sparks and debris flying as the jets descend. 4 parachutes immediately deploying, the air crews ejecting from the aircraft. The jets crashing to the ground, erupting into a massive plume of smoke. The 4 aviators' parachutes continuing their deployment in front of the smoke and wreckage. As onlookers watched, an announcer heard speaking about the safety parachutes.
There have been 4 good parachutes that we're seeing, and we ask that everyone remain where you are.
The incident prompting a lockdown on the base.
Tonight, as a fragile ceasefire holds, President Trump renewing his threats to Iran, saying the clock is ticking. In a social media post, Trump saying, quote, "They better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them." Trump's warning coming after the UAE says it repelled a drone strike at a nuclear plant, something authorities there called an unprovoked terrorist attack. Last week, the president meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump says the two agreed Iran must reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
I can say this with very, very strong conviction. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Not going to happen.
Trump's China summit ending as the Kremlin announced that Vladimir Putin is planning his own summit with Xi this week. Putin, who has claimed his war could be coming to an end, intensifying his attacks on Ukraine. And overnight, Ukraine responding, deploying a barrage of drones on Moscow, the largest assault of its kind in more than a year. A drone hitting this apartment building. Moscow officials say one woman was killed when her home was hit, rescuers scouring debris for another person. In all, at least 4 people were killed across Russian regions. Moscow's mayor saying at least 12 were injured, most near this oil refinery.
Tonight, from skyrocketing prices at the pump to all-time highs for beef, families are feeling the pain from the biggest jump in the cost of living in 3 years. The U.S. government says prices in April jumped 3.8% compared to last year. Energy prices in the wake of the Iran war fueling the surge. Gas up 28.4% year over year. The national average for regular now $4.49 a gallon. For diesel, $5.63 a gallon.
To fill that fuel tank right there on this Kenworth, it would cost, that's 100 gallons, so it'd cost me about $710.
Trucker Kyle Cameron says before the war broke out, that same fill-up would have cost him about $465.
Diesel prices impact shipping all across the country, and that's one of the reasons that grocery prices jumped such a large rate month over month.
Beef at an all-time high, up 14.9%. Ground beef now more than $7 a pound. Tomatoes up 50%. Coffee up nearly 30%. Our Alex Perez met Chicago shoppers feeling the pain.
I could buy milk for $1.99 3 weeks ago, $2.29 now.
Airline fares are up more than 20%. By one estimate, the American household is spending $642 more per month for the same stuff as they did 3 years ago. And for the first time in 3 years, wages aren't rising faster than inflation.
Tonight, with a growing number of hantavirus cases, officials here in the U.S. are monitoring more Americans who may have been exposed to infected passengers from that cruise ship. Health teams across 10 states are now tracking 18 people who either returned home early from the cruise or traveled on a plane with a sick passenger, none of them showing signs of illness. And we're also getting our first update on the 18 passengers in quarantine facilities. One symptomatic passenger in a biocontainment unit in Atlanta has tested negative for hantavirus, and all 16 in Omaha are symptom-free, including the only American to test positive for the virus, who remains in biocontainment. The World Health Organization is warning of the potential for more infections because symptoms can take weeks to present.
Good morning, everyone.
Jake Rosemarin, now in quarantine in Omaha.
Here's my thermometer for temperature checks during the day. I have a stationary bike. More of the outer decks.
He tells us he was relieved to get off that ship.
I didn't think anything was wrong until we found out that it was hantavirus, and that's when I was scared. I'm feeling well.
Jake feels great, but has decided to stay for the full quarantine.
My plan right now is to stay for the 42 days. I think that is the best decision that's for me and for my family, and I know that here I'm in the best care possible.
When we return, your weather update and more, stay tuned.
Introducing Signature Marine Coatings. We bring you premium marine solutions powered by PPG coatings, including anti-fouling protection, high-grade epoxy systems, fiberglass materials, and complete marine refinishing supplies. Protect, enhance, and maximize the performance of your vessel with products you can trust. Get the finish your vessel deserves. We are located at Tardy Marine Limited in Chagaramas. Call us today at 2900-654 or email at signaturepaints@hotmail.com.
Let's do India and Nepal, a soulful journey across timeless destinations. Delhi, Kathmandu, Varanasi, Ayodhya, Haridwar, Rishikesh, Agra, and Jaipur. August 12th to 28th. Presented by Pandit Omarat. Call 681-3476 to book now. Not just a trip, it's a spiritual and cultural experience.
Welcome back to IE's Major News. Let's take a look at today's weather forecast.
Monday was generally sunny to partly cloudy across Trinidad and Tobago with warm and hazy and breezy conditions prevailing throughout the day. Brief cloudy periods produced isolated showers in a few districts, particularly during the afternoon, while most areas remained fair and dry. Daytime temperatures climbed to around 33 degrees in Trinidad and near 32 degrees Celsius in Tobago, with humid conditions making it feel warmer at times. Winds were moderate to occasionally brisk from the east to northeast at 15 to 20 kilometers per hour with strong gusts near showers. Sea conditions were moderate and occasionally rough in offshore areas. Waves reached between 2.0 and 2.5 meters in open waters, occasionally near 3.0 meters, while sheltered areas recorded 1.0 to 1.5 meters with choppy conditions. Sea levels remained within normal limits. However, marine interests were advised to exercise caution due to gusty winds and rough seas. Tonight is expected to be mostly fair and hazy, despite a few isolated showers developing after midnight, particularly across eastern and northern districts. Conditions will remain warm, breezy and humid, with overnight temperatures settling around 24 to 25 degrees. Winds will remain light to moderate from the east, occasionally gusty near showers. Seas will continue moderate and occasionally rough, with waves between 2.0 and 2.5 meters in open waters and up to 1.5 meters in sheltered areas. Sea levels are expected to remain normal, though slightly choppy conditions may persist offshore. For Tuesday, expect partly cloudy and hazy conditions interrupted by isolated showers and the low chance of a brief thunderstorm, particularly during the afternoon across southern and central Trinidad. Temperatures are forecast to reach around 33 degrees in Trinidad and near 32 in Tobago. With continued humid and breezy conditions, winds will be east to east-northeasterly at 15 to 30 kilometers per hour, while seas remain moderate, occasionally rough in open waters. Waves are expected to range between 2.0 and 2.5 meters offshore and around 1.0 to 1.5 meters in sheltered areas, while sea levels remain within the normal range.
Let's take a look at some crime news.
One minor was arrested and a firearm and quantity of ammunition seized during an Operation Steady Guard exercise conducted in the Eastern Division. Officers of the Valencia Police District carried out the exercise between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Saturday, 16th May, during which they arrested one male juvenile of the area who was found in possession of one pistol and 10 rounds of ammunition. Investigations are ongoing. On Sunday, 17th May, the Customs and Excise Division successfully intercepted a passenger attempted to smuggle marijuana into Trinidad and Tobago through the Piaco International Airport, during which passenger clearance operations customs officers at the airport referred a 22-year-old British national to the red line for further examination of their luggage. During the examination, officers discovered a quantity of plant-like material concealed with the passenger's baggage. Officers attached to the preventive branch were subsequently contacted and responded to the scene, where field testing confirmed the substance to be marijuana. The estimated street value of the seizure is over $5 million TT. The Customs and Excise Division remains engaged with partner agencies with the National Security Network as the investigation progresses. The matter is being pursued under the Customs Act Chapter 7801, and charges are expected to follow relating to the importation of prohibited goods. The interception highlights the continued vigilance and proactive enforcement of the Customs and Excise Division in safeguarding the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. 21 persons were arrested and quantities of cash and alcohol were seized during an anti-crime exercise in the Dabadi district. The joint intelligence-led operation was conducted between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. on Sunday, 17th May, by officers of the Interagency Task Force and the Maloney Police Station. During the exercise, officers proceeded to a business place in the Dabadi district where a search was conducted. During the search, officers found a room hidden behind a wall. Further searches revealed several men in the room engaging in gambling activities. The owner of the premises, along with the 20 men, was arrested by officers. The owner is expected to be charged with the offences of operating a common house and selling intoxicating liquor, while the men are expected to be charged with the offence of assembling to gamble. Trinidad and Tobago currency amounting to over $10,000, along with several bottles of alcohol, were also seized during the exercise. Investigations are ongoing.
Recapping the headlines, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, government expanding safe spaces for youth through sport and community initiatives. NCRHA says cost-cutting measures implemented to address inherited financial and operational issues. A 26-year-old Chauvin Aslop gunned down in Morva amid suspected gang retaliation violence. Well, this is where we leave you for now. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Micah Dume. Thank you for joining us.